What's going on, guys? I'm going to be breaking down some of the main mistakes that you guys are making when it comes to fat loss. And this is especially going to be important for you if you think that you are doing all the right things in terms of replacing more your carbs with protein, and you're already taking some of the steps, you're already kind of working out, you're kind of getting your steps in, but for some reason, you're just like, I cannot lose the weight. And I don't know what's going on. Like, is it my metabolism? Am I too am I in 30s? So like obviously my everything kind of slowed down. Like, what's going on? Is it truly my genetics? Like, what's the reason why this isn't happening? So I'm gonna break that down for you. And these are the top three mistakes that a lot of people make, and that I was making for the longest time when I was trying to cut. And then once I was able to identify these things, the weight started to come off, with all the other things being in place in terms of my training, my steps and everything, all that kind of good stuff. So the first thing, you're not weighing your food. And this is something that a lot of people, when you think about how much am I eating, all that kind of stuff, a lot of people are turned off by like calorie counting and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying you need to do this forever. I'm not saying that you need to be the nerd who's like carrying these to the restaurant. I'm not saying you need to do that. But if you have absolutely no idea how much you're eating every single day, and you're just like, oh, I had a plate full of rice and chicken. What does that mean? Was it like 150 grams of rice and 8 ounces of chicken? Was it 500 grams of rice and like 2 ounces of chicken? Like, what was going on there? If you have absolutely no idea and you're just kind of eyeballing stuff and you're like, oh, like I had a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but you have no idea what the caloric intake was for these things, for the things you had, you need to start weighing your food and having some kind of free calorie counter just to get an idea of what you're doing. Again, this is not something I do for my clients because I create a flexible diet plan for them. And this is something that they're able to follow, and they don't have to ever use any of these if they don't want to. But if you're someone who has absolutely no clue what they're doing, and you're just like, I'm eating healthy food, but I'm not losing weight, you're probably just eating too much, but you don't even realize it. So get one of these. You don't need to go crazy and like get one of those like nutrition fact ones that just get a simple food scale, start weighing your food, and you'll be surprised at how much extra food you're eating and you're not even realizing it. So get one of these. Like, I'm telling you, it will be an investment for your health. The second thing, a lot of you guys are making a mistake, using too much oil. I know this is gonna come out reversed, so just bear with me. But if you can make it out, 1 tablespoon is 120 calories. And what I recommend to all my clients is that for every meal, take lunch. If you're going to be cooking lunch, and that includes the carbs, the veggies, the protein, 1 tablespoon per meal. That's what the amount of oil you want to be using. Doesn't matter if it's like, seed oils like canola oil or whatever. Like, I know a lot of people have this thing of like, oh, it needs to be like seed oil and stuff. I'm not like the hugest nerd about that. If that's something that's very important to you, then obviously take that into consideration. But if just for the simple, let's keep things simple. If you are just like, that's what you're doing with your dishes, and you're like, I'm not losing weight, but I'm using healthy avocado oil. You just like poured the equivalent of like what some of these Middle Eastern countries have with their oil. Bro, 4 tablespoons of this is 480 calories. That's almost 500 calories. You are just going overboard if you're just dousing your food in this. It doesn't matter like how healthy it is if it's just like too much oil. What I recommend is something like this. It's an avocado oil spray. You can get like variations of this. You can do olive oil, whatever. This is 0 calories. See right here, it's 0 calories. You spray a little bit of this. I use this for my morning eggs. You can use this for like your other dishes as well. You can saute your vegetables in this, all that kind of good stuff. Get one of these. This is the best kind of replacement that you can have. And I'm obviously being on the more healthier side, so this is going to be it's just avocado oil. It has no spraying alcohols or whatever kind of BS they have in there. So there are still really good options in terms of what you want to be doing when it comes to oil. So guys, like, if you have to use this, use just 1 tablespoon per meal, and if you can, just use the replacement I just talked about. So that'll be the second thing. The third thing, and this is gonna probably trigger a lot of people, but I'm just gonna say it anyway because I love you guys, I wanna look out for you, is healthy sweets, healthy snacks, whatever the case is. These are dates, very healthy. As a Muslim, if you love dates, like it's a good sign. That means you love the sunnah. But I mean, if I'm to look at this, 100 grams is 277 calories. You can see right here. I know it's gonna be reversed, but just bear with me. 100 grams, that's about 277 calories. If I were to count out how many dates that is, I would say that's probably like 5 or 6 dates. You guys can whatever. But it's very easy to snack on these, especially if you pair them with like nuts and all this kind of stuff. And you're just like, oh, I'm eating healthy. I'm eating something that's, very nutritious and it has all this potassium and all this kind of stuff. And like, I'm not having like chocolate. I'm not having like, chips, but I'm having dates. Guys, you have to realize that the amount of calories something has is going to be the ultimate determinant of whether or not you lose weight. There's no way around this. Like, you could eat the most healthy food. You could get your food from like Whole Foods and just like have the most non-GMO, raw, organic, all that kind of good stuff. But if you're just simply eating too much, you're not going to lose the weight. So I don't care like how you rationalize this in your own mind of like, oh, I'm doing all this like healthy stuff and I'm trying to eat more, prophetic foods. And that's admirable. That's wonderful that you're doing this. But if your ultimate goal is to lose weight, you need to take into consideration that the amount of calories something has is going to be the ultimate determinant of whether or not you lose weight. And anyone who tells you differently, who's like, oh, just drink this detox tea, or just like, I don't know, whatever, like all this kind of BS that people put out there, do not follow it. They're not looking out for you, and they're probably pushing something that they benefit from, or they have a percentage of, whatever the case is. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes on when it comes to like weight loss, because you have to understand. I'll end it on this point. Weight loss is a very emotional topic and subject. Even for men. Like, if you're a man, even for you, it's going to be an emotional decision, an emotional thing to kind of go over, because there's so much tied around it. There's culture, there's like the kind of foods we have, and if you refuse certain foods because you're trying to watch your weight, people will be upset. They'll be like, oh, you're not eating like, our cultural food. Are you turning into a white person? Like, they'll say all this kind of stuff. So you have to understand that the more rational and the more number-based and data-based that you can be, without it being too much of a burden on you, that's going to be the most flexible approach and the most sustainable approach to lose weight. Like, there's no other reason, like there's no other way to really make this work for you. So I'm going to end it right there, guys. If you have any question on this, let me know in the comments. And if you want to work with me one-on-one and you do not want to wonder like how do I go about this stuff, like how do I make my meals, and how do I like make sure I'm eating the right kinds of food, I'm not going over with my calories, reply to me, send me a DM. If you're watching this on Instagram, send me a DM, and I'll be more than happy to break down the program for you and show you like how I do it for my clients and how they are able to lose weight. But guys, the final message on this is that watch what you're doing, and if you're making any of these mistakes, I gave you the simple solutions. I guess with this one, have fewer of these, like just one, maybe after dinner or whatever. There's no reason for you to not have your favorite foods. It's just a matter of like having the right perspective on like what can I include without it like being kind of overriding the progress I've made that day or that week, whatever the case is. So guys, I'm gonna leave it right there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.